Being that I've been with the brand for so long, I get asked a lot of questions, whether that's here at the dealership or in my personal life, even over a barbecue. But the question that comes up the most is always, should I buy a hybrid or a gas engine vehicle? In this case, a Lexus. And even though I could just answer it quickly, both have these strengths and weaknesses that I think it's important to explore. So in today's video, I'm gonna be driving a turbo RX350 gas model right next to an RX350H hybrid model to go over the differences so you can decide, should you be buying a hybrid or a gasoline engine car in 2025. I'm Dustin Mason from Performance Lexus in St. Catharines. Make sure you hit like and subscribe for more Lexus related content and engage with our community by adding me on Instagram at @TheDustinMason to chat about anything Lexus related. So I want to get right into the driving portion, but first I'll go over the three main areas I want to explore today. I want to go over driving experience because it differs between the two models. I want to go over the ownership experience and what buyers can really expect. And third, and the most important for a lot of you, I want to go over the fuel economy. Okay, so we're gonna start by driving the RX350H hybrid. I'm lucky enough that this one is actually an executive, so it's fully jammed up, but we're not gonna go over the details of the packages. We're just gonna talk about hybrid versus the gas model RX. Right off the hop, like I've been sitting here idling and with the AC cranked because it's a hot day, and already I see that the fuel economy isn't bad. I'm sitting at 8.1 liters per 100. I'm gonna see if I can reset that. I don't know for sure if I can because this one has the touch, but that's okay. So we're gonna start with the driving experience. That's gonna be one of the first things I wanna talk about because money aside, the driving experience between a hybrid and a gas engine, especially a turbo, is much different. And we're doing this a little backwards because I'm used to driving a turbo one right now. So right off the hop, and I don't know if you can hear it, the gas engine hasn't kicked in yet. Okay, now it just did. So in the city, light to light, stop sign to stop sign, it's super smooth, like EV smooth. There's no vibrations from any moving mechanical pieces. There's no noise really. It's just super, super smooth. And the connection between the gas pedal and those electric motors is very seamless. It's very digital, you can tell. But we're getting on the highway now. And this is where I definitely prefer the gas one, and I'll show you why. So there's still punch, like I'm gonna punch it. I'm just gonna give some room between me and the camera car. So if I punch it, from a stop, you have a bit of that EV torque, but really as it winds up, you can hear a bit more of I don't know if it's mostly the gas engine or if it's a little bit of the fact that it's a CVT. So because if it's a CVT, it wants to rev a little bit higher. I don't know if you can hear that in the camera, but then when I'm coasting, it's doing, a little bit more of the EV thing. So pressing on the gas, I'm going, the speed limit through here is 100, so that's what I'm going. But then when I start to slow down, that's really where it starts to feel more like a hybrid again. So think of it this way. When you're in the city, it feels like a hybrid. I always say that. It feels very smooth, very electronic, very EV-like. When you punch it to get on the highway, I think, if someone likes a spirited drive, they're gonna be like, it's gotta wind up again. It reminds me of like the first CVT engines and like, the theory is great, but then like you go to use it and you're like, it's just sitting in the whining realm of the RPM. But then when you get up to speed and you're just maintaining, 100 kilometers an hour or whatever the speed limit is, it's so smooth, right? And I think of that as like, usually when you get on the highway, for me anyway, I just set that cruise control and I'm just chilling. And if that's the case, I wouldn't notice a difference between the hybrid and the gas. But getting onto the highway is a different story. The city's a different story. If we threw some canyon roads in here, that's a different story. So think about that when it comes to the experience. Do you prefer that smoother ride? Because if so, the hybrid, even if it wasn't better on gas, which it is, could be a good option. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is regenerative braking. So regenerative braking means when you are touching the brake pedal lightly, especially, instead of using a brake caliper, pads, and a rotor to slow down, it's actually using that unit under the hood or under the axle that is using the momentum of the vehicle to produce power and in turn charge up those batteries. And really, regenerative braking is the main reason that hybrids are so effective. And that goes way back to even, the first Prius type thing. So because of that, it feels a little different. It feels a little touchier. I got used to it pretty quick, so I don't notice much of a difference anymore. But the first time I went to drive a hybrid, it felt considerably different. And it's cool because in the animations, and there's different ones, you can put one up on the main screen, you can see it in your regular display. When you press on the brake, you can see it go from eco or power into charge mode. And I recommend, utilizing that to the best of your ability. Usually with like a gas engine car, if you're going downhill and you're pressing on the brake even a little bit, you're technically wasting that energy or that momentum, where on a hybrid, you're actually getting it back. So think about that. And there is protections in place. Like if you are going on a long hill and you're pressing regenerative braking, it's not gonna overcharge those hybrid batteries. In fact, from what I understood, it never gets depleted less than 20%, and it never goes, more full than 80%. So that really maintains the life of those batteries. And that's another good point. A lot of people have these myths about like, oh, but it's gonna be more expensive to replace that battery. I work at a dealership that since hybrids came out, we've probably, the sunset's beautiful tonight. We've probably gone through 20,000 vehicles or something like that. And we've, to my knowledge, in that time, have only had to replace a hybrid battery under warranty like 2 times or 3 times at the most. I remember the first time was a car that sat in Florida in the heat and wasn't driven for a long time, and the battery didn't like that heat and like expanded or something like that. The other times, I think were just fluke things, or who knows what the case was. But in all that time, like, we sell a lot of hybrids, and I don't have people knocking on my door saying that their hybrid battery needs replacing, especially because the warranty on it's like 10 years. So you would think if there was an issue, like we've seen with certain manufacturers that have engine issues but have an engine warranty, and by the time that car gets traded in, it's on its like 3rd engine or something like that. With the hybrid batteries, is not the case. And because the car isn't working as hard, so like right now I'm doing the regenerative braking, but because the car isn't working very hard, the electric motor's never working too hard, the gas engine's not working too hard, I find that everything just lasts longer. The brakes last longer. Like I said, it's easier on the engine, it's easier on the hybrid system. Everything's just working in synergy. And actually, one point, I don't know if it's still the case because I haven't kept up on it, but at one point, the lowest maintenance cost vehicle in the world was the Toyota Prius. And that only ever came hybrid. And that was that exact reason of the brakes last longer, the car doesn't really work too hard. I mean, anybody that's driven those first generations Priuses can say it wasn't very accelerating to drive. Like, you couldn't really push the car hard. The RX350H, you can. Like, if I just punch it just a little bit here, it's still got some pep. Like, it's not crazy, but it's like a normal car. The 500H is a different beast. The 500H has some crazy pickup and is wild to drive. Like, it feels like you have a V8 under the hood, and it has a different transmission. This one is all about fuel economy and comfort and smooth. So we have, a CVT, we have a quiet powertrain that's not trying to push too many ponies at the same time, if that makes sense. Another thing, if you're trying to save fuel economy, because that's what this car is all about, is going to be how you're using the HVAC system. So if you put the car in eco mode, everything does feel a bit more sluggish, right? We're not accelerating as fast. I think the braking, in my opinion, isn't as aggressive. And also the climate control dumbs down. And that's because climate is a big factor and load of how your fuel economy is, right? So I always say, if you're looking for the best fuel economy, yes, put it in eco mode, but also turn off your AC. Turn off your heated seats or your cooled seats. I always have one of those on. And that's how you can maintain a little bit better fuel economy. Sport mode, which I'll try right now. I'm just gonna punch it a little bit peppier. We can hear that engine a bit more. Still longer simulated gears, but not bad. You can still use paddles. Like if I'm in a hybrid RX right now, I can go into paddles. I'm doing 60 kilometers an hour at 4,000 RPM. I can punch it. Goes up, RPMs go up, we can shift. I don't know if it tells me, yeah, I'm in 4, 5, and then D. So there's only a couple simulated gears there. But you get the point. And then by the way, cruising again, 70 kilometers an hour, push the gas a little bit, gives you a little bit of that pep because, the hybrid. Also, I should say, I forgot about this because we didn't really park yet. Parking a hybrid vehicle is way better than a regular gas one. And I'm gonna show you why really quickly right now. So we're in drive and we're just gonna go down into reverse. Bam, it's already ready to go. Look at that, look how quick that is. Bam, there's nothing that has to wind up. So to do like a U-turn or to pull out of your driveway on a busy street, I live on a busy street. So to pull out of that driveway, it's like you just put it in gear and it goes because it's all digital, it's all simulated. And that makes it easier for things like that, I think. Okay, so now let's hop into the gas RX and go over those same things and compare. But first, when I shut this down, it gives me an overview of the trip. So we went 19 kilometers, 30 minutes. The EV driving ratio was 45%, and the trip average was 8.9 liters per 100 kilometers. It's gonna be off because I was sitting here idling for a long time as we prep for the video, but you get the point of kind of like the 45% EV driving ratio, et cetera, et cetera. So that 45% wouldn't have been there in a gas one. Okay, so now we're in the gas model. This is my demo RX350. So if you see on here that it's a little dirty inside, that's because it's my car. So let's put it in drive. This one is a luxury package, so it should be a very similar ride quality to an executive. It's the same wheels, it's a lot of the same fit and finish, but the executive just has more features to it. And that's actually something I should talk about with the RX. It's pretty great that whether you want a hybrid powertrain or a turbo powertrain like this one, you're getting a really decked out vehicle, like both having their own strengths and weaknesses. It's kind of nice that one of those powertrains shouldn't be looked at as like being less than the other, or like, less exquisite or less luxurious, because they are both great in their own way. That's why this video is important, is to show you the pros and cons of each. Okay, so right away, I can feel the vibration. It's not crazy. But now we have a true 8-speed transmission. We have a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. There's no hybrid, there's no mild hybrid on this. It's just, it's just turbo. You're gonna use premium gas in this for sure. And because of the gears, I find that to be a bigger part of the driving experience. The vibration isn't a lot, by the way, but it's there versus a hybrid, that's for sure. Also, my front windows are tinted, so it seems a little darker in here. But getting on the highway, so again, we're in like, I don't know, whatever, it's gonna put us in like second gear or something like that. And we're gonna punch it, and you'll see we'll have a bit of actual shifting. So there we go, punch is really hard. That power really stays in at the upper range. And I'm sure it's got variable valve timing, or maybe it's just the boost, but when you're in the higher realms, I'm just gonna use the gears here, the sound changes. I would say it changes at like 4,000 RPM. It goes from like, a little bit of a whiny 4-cylinder engine, and I use that term loosely, like it's not super whiny, to like a throaty kind of intake. You don't really hear the turbo much, but it sounds good and mechanical. And like, I don't know, when it first came out, people were like, oh, I'm worried about the 4-cylinder. That is so wrong in so many ways, because it's a great engine. And like most time I forget that it's a 4-cylinder. And I loved the old V6. And so it was like, I was worried about this powertrain, and I have nothing to be worried about. So I'm still just in normal mode. I mean, once we're cruising, guys, it's the same. It's the same as the hybrid. Like when you're actually up to speed, I'm gonna, hit that cruise control, and it's good. I don't know, I'm just gonna check real quick what my average fuel economy is here. And again, I do a lot of highway, 9.8 liters per 100. So that other one was 8. This one says total 9.8. Again, depending on how you drive, it's gonna be more or less than that. You're gonna use premium gas. My average speed is about 60 kilometers an hour. So yeah, that's what I mean. It's not always just about fuel economy, it's about driving experience. I think for like a spirited driver is gonna be better. I like that on the gas one, you could do like an F Sport 2 or F Sport 1 or F Sport 3. Hybrid, you would have to go 500 for that. So keep that in mind. That's gonna be a bit of the deciding factor, but now we're getting down to so many other variables. Like when it comes to choosing an RX, first thing I would do is narrow down if the 500 is in the play, because that's a big expense, right? If you decide it's between a 350H and a 350 gas, then you start to go through packages, right? Which packages mean the most to you? They all have great features, like whether you go luxury, ultra luxury, executive in Canada, We have in the States, you know, there's like premium, premium plus. There's some F Sports and like some a la carte options as well, to each their own, which is important to them. Something we'll speak to, don't forget, a luxury car is supposed to be a emotional purchase. It's not supposed to be just logic. It's supposed to be what tickles your fancy, as the saying goes. And for me, this turbo engine, I like it. It does it. I'm gonna do sport mode so you guys can hear it. I hope you can hear it. Okay, sport mode. I'm using the paddles. I'm in like second gear. I'm going on an on-ramp. You can hear a bit of that throttle. I'm gonna get into it. You can feel it. It's good. It's got good shifts. Look at that, ready? Holds it and shifts. It's great. I really like it. And there is a feeling, by the way. There's a different driving experience feeling. You'll get, if you test drive one of these, you'll feel it. Under that hard acceleration, you feel like the turbo spooling kind of. Not crazy, but you feel like these, it's like an extra vibration, and it's not a bad thing, right? Cars with vibrations aren't always a bad thing. I would say the hybrid sometimes feels a bit numb, just like how electric cars can kind of feel numb a little bit. But this one, yeah, it's got that feel to it. And that's the thing about the RX in general. Like, it checks so many boxes for so many people. And that's why it's been the bread, butter, and gravy of Lexus for so long. It's an SUV that rides like a mid-sized sedan. It's like driving a comfy couch when you want it to, and it's sporty when you want it to be as well. It's good for a young couple with a dog. It's good for a single guy with, you know, hobbies. And it's also good for older folks that just like the height and the size of it. And it's good for a family who's got to put, you know, 2 child seats in the back. It checks so many different boxes, and I can always see why. I always try to have an RX demo whenever I have the chance, and I usually do it in black, which a lot of you, if you've been on this channel before, you'll know that about me. I love a black car, just in general. The 2 cars that I own are black. Although that red hybrid that we drove earlier that's a pretty slick color as well. And then as we go to park the RX gas, I mean, the shifter is still quick, and it does still have start stop, by the way. I should have mentioned that earlier. So there you have it. A little bit of driving experience, a little bit of pros and cons of both the gas RX versus the hybrid. And you can use this formula or this mindset when it comes to all the other lineup or hybrid lineups of the Lexus sort of line of vehicles. So to recap, we ended up with like an 8 liter per 100 kilometer hybrid, around the 12 mark on the gas with the same route, around the same driving. I was pushing it a little bit, stuff like that. Based on my calculations in US dollars, the hybrid should save you about $900 versus the gas on a yearly basis of driving like 20,000 kilometers a year. Canadian, that's gonna be like 1,500 bucks or so. So that's why I really wanna stress that there's more to the equation than just going hybrid for fuel savings. It's a little bit smoother, actually a lot of bit smoother ride in the city, a lot more of that EV feel. However, at that top end, it doesn't have as much of a mechanical connection that the RX Turbo has, especially when you punch it with the RX Turbo and you get that turbo kick in a little bit. I find the experience to be more fun with the turbo and way more smooth with the hybrid. So take that and run with it when it comes to things like NX or any of the other vehicles in the lineup. And that's that. Let me know in the comments below which one you would choose, if you would go for the hybrid or the turbocharged RX model or any of the other models in here. And of course, let me know if you have any ideas for a video in the comment section or message me on Instagram.